and welcome to another edition of what is on the ground of the Liberty Grove Historical Society. Cheryl and I are your guides on Thursday, so come and see us. We're here from 10 to 2. Be happy to show you some of these things and to explain some more of what's in some of the collection. But for today, we're looking at number 4 on your walking tour map. This is our picker shack. So we're starting here in the orchard. See the apples? This is a wonderful tree that was donated to us by Sequist Orchard. So thank you so much for that. So let's head on over to the picker shack. We'll talk a little bit about that, but on our way, notice what we've got here is a picker ladder. And I know you probably have seen these out and about in the county. We no longer use them because we have fancy machinery that harvests the cherries and apples. So, but this would have been easy to go into a tree so that you could walk up it. Some of them are really quite tall, and you could get up and get into the tree to do the harvesting. This one we have on display. Please don't climb on it when you see it, although you might be tempted to do so. Beautiful. And we have a lounging chair here too, because just a little heads up that this cabin we've kind of decorated as a family might live here, and some of the leisurely activities that the migrant farmers may have had time to do. Again, not to sit on this one, but look at that beautiful piece. Let's talk a little bit about this building in particular. Many hands were needed to pick Door County's cherry crops until the 1960s, when mechanical tree shakers were developed. Most workers came from outside the area and they needed housing. So they were put up in tents, in barns, and in many cases, cabins just like this. They were primarily African Americans from the Southeast, Native Americans, and Mexicans, often including whole families, which is why we decorated this one as if a family may have stayed here during the season. They moved from place to place on the back of flatbed trucks to harvest crops as they matured. First, of course, being cherries here in Door County, followed by apples in the early and mid-fall. So let's take a close look at what this cabin was actually made of. When it came here in 2009 to be set on this foundation, originally it had been made of this fiberboard, which was called Celotex. Roger Johnson wanted the Celotex mounted to show future generations what these cabins had been made of. When this cabin arrived here at Liberty Grove Historical Society, a new roof and wooden walls were added when the shack moved here. This building came from the Dahlstrom Homestead Farm at Plateau and Woodcrest Road. As we said, fruit trees were donated by Dale Sequist and were planted next to the shack here in 2015. Well, Cheryl, let's go on inside and see what awaits us in here. Again, during World War II, when workers were difficult to find, pickers were brought from Mexico, Jamaica, Barbados, and even those were not enough. In 1945, at the end of the war, 2,000 German POWs were stationed at 7 different camps in Door County, and they helped pick the crop as well. The shack became migrant pickers' home for the season. Let's take a look at some of the things that we may find in here. I want to go ahead and go on over to this interesting modern convenience of a non-electric refrigerator. It was called a Coolerator refrigerator, manufactured in Duluth, Minnesota, and it was donated by Arlene Lawrence. In 1945, manufacturing of them began again after the war. And the next year, Gibson Refrigerator Company purchased them, then IT&T, and then McGraw. They went out of business in 1954. A refrigerator such as this might be possible for a married couple of pickers. Let's take a look inside. So your ice would sit on here. This would then lift up, and you would have your food down below. Look at that modern convenience right there. Beautiful. Okay, and then walking around, let's come on over here. Look at these beautiful windows that we have here. This is a 2-burner stove. I want to tell you, see, yes, used kerosene to run it, right? And I want take a look at this over here. This is a glass container that the kerosene would stay in, and then that would feed your fire. Now, a couple that would stay here, or a family that would stay here, very well may have used a stove just like this. I think electricity was added at 1.2. We know that we have some electrical wiring in here and some insulators as well. So that could have come too. Again, this picker shack was at the Dahlstrom homestead. And as you take a look around, we've decorated this one, as we said, for a family, but with some of the things that you may have had for entertainment, like baseball. This looks like we might have had some cigars. Here is a guitar over here. Roller skating, I'm not so sure about that, but the roller skating was very popular at File Hall, which is now the Mink River Basin. Beautiful. Right. There are bamboo fishing poles in this cabin as well. They came from commercial fishermen Clarence and Louise Lynn's home on the current corner of Highway 42 and Old School Road in Allison Bay. Now their daughters, Beverly Lind and Sonia Lind Highlander, also donated this table and chairs. That wood-burning stove came from the early 1900s. All right, so here's an interesting connection. In 2015, a couple of gals made their way here to Liberty Grove Historical Society. Their names were Hardy Coronado and Rosemary Martin. They and their parents had been pickers at the Dahlstrom farm. The parents had double cots or pushed their beds together in this picker shack. How about that? And the girls stayed in dorm shacks, much like we have in the summer kitchen. Remember last time we were with you, or a couple times ago, we actually looked up at the rafters and saw some of the names. That would have been a dormitory picker shack where the girls would have stayed. All right, and we have some work clothes here from Larry Nelson. We have Lee Telfer's army blanket here covering that bed up. And a reminder that it takes a lot of donors to help pull a collection together. And we have a listing of all of the items that were donated here for the Picker Shack. And look at all those families and individuals who contributed to this wonderful display. And look at there. That's an old cherry picking bucket right there. Take that with you up the ladder. A nice, nice room. So the next time that you come and visit us here at the top of the hill, be sure that you make a special stop here at the Picker Shack, built for a family and decked out for some of the things that they may have time to enjoy on some of their days off, and we'll leave that there. But we would like to thank all of our donors for your help in preserving the past and the history of Liberty Grove. Well, until next time, I'm going to say goodbye while Cheryl continues her tour around the cabin.